Hello students, today we will discuss regarding feasibility study of software project development. In last lecture or last session we have discussed different requirement analysis processes and different analysis phases. What are different types of requirements you have to collect, and today we will discussing the second point, that is feasibility analysis or feasibility study. So before discussing in detail about feasibility study, we should know what is feasibility study. Feasibility study is nothing but evaluation and analysis of a project or a system that somebody has proposed. So in case of software development, in a first phase, we collect information using different fact-finding techniques from different stakeholders of your system. So what are those requirements? Whether those requirements we have collected from those two stakeholders, whether it is feasible for you to develop such type of application to fulfill all those needs, you have to test in case of feasibility study. So here we are evaluating the needs and its feasibility. What is expected by the end user? What is expected by the different stakeholders? Is it feasible and possible to implement, to fulfill those things or not? Those study is called as feasibility analysis or feasibility study. A feasibility study tells you whether something will work and make money. Means what is expected, that is possible to develop or not, that is possible to fulfill or not, that we are verifying in case of feasibility study. So feasibility study is the second key aspect of success or failure of your project, because if you fail to do properly feasibility analysis of your project, and if you start your project in middle, you may come into trouble due to some, suppose you have selected one technology to develop application and that technology is not supporting to the user expectation, or what budget you have prepared, that budget is not adequate to complete the particular project, or the tools or techniques that you are using that are not operationally feasible. So in middle you have to stop your project, because that incomplete project, that unusable project may not be accepted by the end users. So feasibility study, if you carried out properly, then you can easily control the plan or the project execution process effectively and efficiently. This is also one of the key aspects of a project manager, that is feasibility study. Basically, there are 5 types of feasibility study in case of software project management or software project development. What are those 5 steps? The first type of feasibility study is a legal feasibility, economic feasibility study, technical feasibility study, operational feasibility study, and schedule feasibility study. Some members have added some other types of feasibility study like organizational feasibility study, cultural feasibility study, and etc. etc. So the basic types of feasibility study are of 5 types: legal, economic, operational, technical, and schedule. Now we'll see one by one what are those types of studies or what different activities that comes under those types of feasibility study. The first type is a legal feasibility study. So in this case, what application you are developing, that is under the constraints of law constraints and ethics, or legal constraints and ethics or not, that you have to verify. Means what? Suppose you have developed one application and that application is using by the particular organization. That organization wants to do ISO certification of that particular organization. And in that case, if you develop the application which is not as per the standards of ISO or IEC, then your system may be of no use, because that does not fulfill the legal constraints that is required for ISO certification. Or what system you are developing, that should be secure, that should be safe from different types of threats. Is that safe? Then you can say this is safe. Then you can say the system is legally feasible. If that system is fulfills all the rules and regulations of the government, of the third party members, then we can say the system is legally feasible. In another words, suppose you want to start one business, and that business creates some hazardous gases and the location that you have selected to start the particular business is nearby the societies where human beings are living. So that hazardous gas will create a problem to those members. So if those members gives complaint about your business, about that hazardous gases, then your business or your organization has to close over there. So means in that selection of the location, that you have not taken into consideration the legal feasibility, because if you started that business far away from that particular city, or you can say the human beings that they are staying over there, then that is good one. But to start this system, you have not taken into consideration different legal aspects that directly or indirectly affects on success or failure of your system. So first thing you have to verify that the system that you are developing, the system that you are modifying, that is legally feasible or not. That works under the constraints of all logical framework set by organizations, set by government. If all rules, all constraints are fulfilled, then we can say the system is legally feasible. Second type of feasibility study is the economical feasibility. So in case of economical feasibility, we compare the benefits of the system, benefits of the proposed system with the cost that you are going to pay for development of that system. That is, economic feasibility is also called as cost benefit analysis. Here we are comparing the benefit of the system with the cost incurred while developing the system, while using system, while selling the system. So in economic feasibility, we are discussing about what is the cost the system requires, like hardware cost, software cost, usage cost, user cost, database cost. Okay, so those costs you are taking into consideration. In economic feasibility, it is also verified that the product what you are developing, that will generate profit or not. You have developed the application, but when you develop the application, the next part is you have to sell that application. And if you get good revenue from that system, then we can say the application what you have selected, what you have developed, that is economically feasible. That the cost of that application is minimum and we are getting maximum profit, then we can say the study is economically feasible. Third one is the technical feasibility. As we know that different stakeholders, they have suggestion, they have given their requirements. They want SMS facility, they want mail facility, they want some security, they want interfacing. All these needs you have collected, and to fulfill those needs, you have to identify whether any technology, whether any technical tool that may be front end or back end tool, whether that fulfills all those needs or not. If it is possible, then we can say the requirements or the need is technically feasible. The system is technically feasible. Can it be built? What are the requirements? To fulfill those requirements, so what technology we are selecting, that technology is suitable for that fulfilling the needs or not, that we have studied in technical feasibility. And if it gives a positive response about the system, about the selected technologies, then we can say the technology that you have selected is a technically feasible. Because what software you have selected for developing front end, what database you have selected to store data, what database you have selected to handle the inquiries, if all those answers goes to the favor of technology selected, tool selected, then we can say the tool or technology that you have selected, that is technically, or the system we are developing using those tools and technology is a technically feasible. Getting the next one is operationally feasible. Means what? By collecting all information, by selecting the technology that you are going to develop the system, so that system, if that system is operationally feasible, means it requires less time to learn, less errors to use, very easy to learn and understand, it requires minimum memory space. So if all those properties of good systems fulfills by your system, then we can say the system is operationally feasible. Means there should be a proper consistency. There should be a proper, for any type of user, that may be novice user, that may be intermediate user, that may be a expert user. To fulfill those needs, there should be some menu driven systems. There should be toolbars. There should be shortcut facilities. There should be multiple dynamic reports generation facility. If all those things are incorporated in your system, then we can say the system is operationally feasible. In operational feasibility study, we are checking whether the system will work as per the expectation of different stakeholders or not. If it will work, then we can say the system is operationally feasible. If it is not, then we can say the system is operationally not feasible. And last one is the scheduled feasibility. What are the expectations? That may be a functional requirement, and what is the non-functional requirement, means what, in what schedule, in what constraint, in time constraint, that may be a budgetary constraint, that project you have to complete. If that project completes within that constraints, that time constraints or budgetary constraints, then we can say the project is scheduled feasible. That is, in scheduled feasibility, we are verifying whether the project will complete within time or not. If it completes within time, then we can say the schedule, the project, project is scheduled feasible. Getting, and last one, that is cultural or organizational feasibility. So what software or what system you are building, whether that suits to the organizational culture or not. If it suits the organizational culture, then we can say this study is organizational feasible or cultural feasible. So these are basically 5 different types. Once again, we'll take small review. In legal feasibility, we are checking, will it fulfill all the legal and ethical aspects, means the proposed system, whether it is fulfilling all legal and ethical aspects. If it is fulfilling, then you can say that is a legally feasible. Likewise, in case of economical feasibility, we are checking whether the proposed system will produce some profit to the sponsor or not. That profit may be a tangible, that may be intangible profit. That may be benefit. That profit is also called as benefit. That benefit may be a tangible benefit or intangible benefit. Just we are comparing the what we are investing with the benefits, what you are getting from that particular using of that particular software. So that comes under this economic feasibility. In case of technical feasibility, what are the different needs of different stakeholders, whether the tool or technique that we have selected, with the help of that, can we build that application to fulfill the expectation of all stakeholders. If the answer goes in favor of selected tools or technology, then we can say the tools or techniques that you are using, that you have selected, or the through using which we are developing the system, is a technically feasible. Then next one is operationally feasible. When you develop the application, when you develop the particular systems, we have to verify that the system what we are developing, that is very easy to use, that is operationally feasible, that can be operate with minimum requirement. If all those answers goes in favor of proposed system, then we can say the system is operationally feasible. And last one is schedule feasibility. If the proposed system fulfills or gets completed as per the expected time constraints, then we can say the system is scheduled feasible. So these are different types of feasibility studies. Then next one is the benefits of conducting feasibility study. What are different benefits of conducting the feasibility study? The importance of feasibility study is based on organization desire to get it right before committing resources, time, or budget. So if you are not doing a feasibility study, and if you are starting your process, or you can say project, and after some days you come to know that there are some issues, then the time span that you have spent, that is a loss. The human hours you have spent, that is a loss. Different resources you have spent, that is a loss. The money you have spent, that is a loss. To minimize all those things before starting your project, you have to do feasibility study. So if you do proper feasibility study, then what different benefits you will get? The first one, you will identify new opportunities. Means you are collecting requirements from all stakeholders. So if you understood what are expected, what is the future trends the customer, the end users are expecting, and if you incorporate those changes, those things in your project, then you will earn more profit with that same product. Second one is identifies a valid reason to undertake the project. In feasibility study, we are what we are doing, we are taking into consideration all type of functional and non-functional needs. And if you are considering all those things, then we come to know that really the members or different organizations or end users what are expecting. And if you understood the expectation of end user, and on the basis of that if you develop the product, then you will earn more profit. Third one, improves project team focus, because everything you have studied, you have tested, you have analyzed, then the team members, they have to focus only the targeted objectives. What functional requirements they have to do, what is time constraint, what is the schedule constraints, all those things they have to follow. So indirectly the project team members focus on their role and responsibilities. This is also one of the benefit of feasibility study. Narrows the business alternatives. When you are doing this feasibility study, we are verifying different alternatives, whether you have to develop in-house application or you have to purchase from third party, or you have to get some modules from the different vendors. So all those things you are considering in case of technical feasibility. So that will create different alternatives in the mind of that particular project manager to go ahead with. Then provides valuable information for an go or no go decisions. So here we are verifying all types of feasibilities. If you found the system is not feasible legally, economically, operationally, or scheduled, then we have to decide whether to go ahead with the risk or not. If you identify all those risks, if you identify all those obstacles before starting your systems, it helps the manager to go ahead, or you have to stop from the project. This is also one of the benefit of feasibility study. It enhances success rate by evaluating multiple parameters, because we are taking minor constraints in feasibility study. Those 5, 6, 7 different types of feasibility study we are doing, and we are comparing those feasibility study with your system. And if all feasibility studies gives favor to your system, then we can say the system is good system. So this is one of the parameters through which you can build confidence in the mind of project development team and whole directly or indirectly the members who are associated with that project development processes. They will get one confidence that they will get success, and indirectly feasibility study improves the success rate of that application and identifies reasons not to proceed. If you are not going ahead with, then you are having list of different reasons due to which you are not accepting the particular project. Because while you are doing the feasibility study, we are identifying what are different limitations, what are not possible to use within that time constraints, within that budgetary constraints, or some other types of constraints. So everything you have to enlist. So all those things you are getting with the help of feasibility study. So these are some benefits of feasibility study. Then different constraints that may be occur or that may be faced while doing feasibility study. There are basically three types of constraints: internal project constraints, internal corporate constraints, and last one, external constraints. So internal constraints means what technology, what tool, what budget, what resources you are selecting. If that are not suitable to fulfill all those requirements, then that is first constraint. You have to identify a good technical tools, good technical persons, technologies, budget. This is the first constraint. Second one is the internal corporate constraints. Means what? To develop the application you need monetary support, and for that you have to you are expecting good support from financial team. Once you develop your product, you have to market and you have to sell that particular project to earn the profit. So that if marketing team is not doing their roles and responsibility properly, then also it is one of the constraint for the success of that particular business or that particular application. And that's one is external constraint, that is logistic constraint, environmental constraints, law and regulation, etc. Suppose you have developed one organization and which requires to daily some raw material, and due to some environmental hazards, it is not possible to purchase those raw material or distribute those raw material from your warehouse to different retailer stores. Then that is also one of the external constraint. Or some government rules changes, and if your product or if your service is not fulfilling that, that is also one of the constraint. So consider that moment when the project feasibility areas have all been examined, the study helps to identify any constraint and proposed project may face different difficulties. So we here in this case, what we are doing, we are just taking the feasibility of all those things. Internal project constraints. Is there any constraint? We are having adequate technologies. We are having adequate budget. You are having adequate resources. We are having adequate technical support. If all those things are there, then we can say we don't have any internal project constraints. Likewise, internal corporate constraints, we have to verify we are having adequate financial support, we are having good marketing team, we are having good expert team. So those things if you are having, then we can say there is no internal corporate constraints. And likewise, we have to verify the external constraints like logistic facilities, environmental constraints, different laws and regulations. So these are some of the additional, you can say, the constraints that you have to take into consideration while doing feasibility study. The next one is steps in feasibility study. If you want to conduct a feasibility study, you have to take into consideration these 7 phases or 7 steps. The first one is conduct preliminary study or conduct preliminary analysis. Here, it is also called as a pilot study. What application or what product you are developing, we have to do some preliminary analysis of your product. Means what the product is, what product will produce services, what different benefit, who will be the different beneficiaries of that particular product. So all those analysis, all those study you have to conduct first, and on the basis of that, second step, prepare the project income statement. Means what are the possible revenues that the project can generate. So if you are developing that particular project, then who are the end users of that particular project. Suppose you are developing one dairy application. So to use that dairy application or dairy application app, you have to identify what are number of different dairy organizations, milk dairy organizations. So on the basis of that, you have to decide what is the scope for my product. So in the second phase, we are just generating projected income statements. How much you expect profit from that particular project. Third one, conduct a market survey. For that purpose, what you have to do? You have to do one market survey. What is need of market? Is there any alternative product available in market? If that is available, what are the limitation of that product? How our product is better than the available market product? All those things you have to take into consideration. Does the project create a good or service that is demand in the market? Means what? The product which are available in market, how our product is different than that particular product, how our product is better than the existing product, what price are consumer willing to pay for the goods or services. If you are developing the particular product, what is expected or affordable, we can say, price of that particular product by the consumers. You have to identify that also. And on the basis of that 4 step, plan the organization structures of the new product. So for that purpose, you have to identify how many staffs are required to complete the particular project, how many workers are needed, what different resources are needed, whether all resources are available with our organization or not. If not, from where you have to hire, from where you have to purchase, all those things you have to take into consideration in fourth phase. In fifth phase or fifth step, prepare an opening day balance. Means what? To complete the particular project, what are different expenses that are to be occurred? You have to identify, and what are the target revenues that you can generate. So that cost benefit to, or you can say the balance sheet you have to prepare, and on the basis of that you have to identify how much are the expenses, how much are the revenues that you can target, that you can generate if you develop the particular application or project. Then review and analysis the point of vulnerabilities that are internal to the project and can be controlled or else eliminated. You have to identify the different activities that you have to conduct in your project, and is there any vulnerabilities, is there any some limitations, is there any some obstacles. You have to identify that obstacles, you have to identify that vulnerabilities. Either you have to control that that vulnerability, or you have to eliminate your vulnerability. So this is the sixth step, and last, you have to decide whether to go on with the plan or project. In last step, you all market survey, all study we have conducted, we have made some comparison between expenses and earning, and on basis of that, you have to decide whether the proposed system, whether the proposal plan will create profit or not. So all those activities you have to conduct in feasibility study. So here I have completed what is feasibility study, what are different types of feasibility study, why feasibility study is needed, what different benefits the organization will get, and different steps that you have to follow in case of feasibility study. So here I have completed the things what I want to complete in feasibility study. In next lectures or next sessions, we will see different feasibility, different system analysis mechanisms in detail.